So hello everyone, it's your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, because Grace is my name. And today we're gonna get into some palettes from Colourpop. They were fucked up, but then I fixed them. So you'll see how I rearrange the colors in a second. Okay, y'all, so I had all these Colourpop palettes that I didn't like the color stories of. And I got some other palettes too that I took them out of, but I'm not going to show those. I'll just tell you which ones they were. I took from the Mara palette, from the Inner Trance palette, and then from the, what's that other one? The Sweet Talk palette. I didn't like the color stories of just about any of those, or they had too many pressed glitters or something like that. So what I did was I picked from each one of those palettes and recreated these palettes and took the shades out of these I didn't like, which mainly you all most likely know is the pressed glitters. But the two particular color stories of these palettes I thought was so fucking terrible. So I was like, yeah, no. These aren't working for anybody my skin tone, so I just decided I needed to recreate them. So I kind of got this idea from a couple of YouTubers. Like, I know Julia Mazzucato changed her Candy Castle palette because she didn't like it, and I don't like it either. But, you know, the nostalgia in me of playing Candyland and all that when I was a little kid is why I bought it. Same thing with Sailor Moon. I loved watching Sailor Moon. I was a huge Sailor Moon fan. But both the palettes don't really work for people my skin tone, and I thought, you know, why not recreate them with plenty of Colourpop palettes I have that I don't use and I don't necessarily like the color story of. I had started doing this a little while ago though, because I did it with my Just My Luck palette. I told you I took some of the colors from Meant to Be out of it and put them in there. I need to find my Meant to Be because there's a couple more palettes that I didn't change as much as I wanted to because I didn't have other shades to switch out that I thought would work. So let's start off with the Candy Castle palette. So I'll try to remember to insert pictures of what these palettes looked like beforehand and then show y'all, you know, how I changed it. So this is what the palette looks like now. So I took a lot of shades from, what's that palette? The Sweet Talk palette is mainly what I took shades from to put in here. So this one came from the Mara palette because I fucked up the one that was in the Sweet Talk palette in order to be able to put it in here. So this one's in here instead. This is from the Mara palette as well. So these two are from the Mara palette, and then the rest of them are from the Sweet Talk palette. So if I remember correctly, this is from Sweet Talk. This is the what is it? The Super Shock from Sweet Talk. I think this Candyland shade is from Sweet Talk as well. And the only ones that are originally from this palette are this one, and this one. Everything else is from Sweet Talk or from Mars. So like I said, these two are from Mars, and the rest of the stuff in here is from Sweet Talk. Just because I like this color story a little better. I mean, it doesn't match the outside of the palette at all, but you know, at the same time, the stuff that was inside I feel like didn't work well for my skin tone, and I mainly just wanted the packaging. So I got the packaging, I got some of the shades in it, and to me this just is more like a version of my Sweet Talk palette with a couple of different pops of color, and it's a little darker effect for someone like me. So this palette would work better for me, and that's why I switched the stuff from the Sweet Talk and the Mara palette into here that I thought would work for my skin tone. So this is palette 1. Okay, so the next one we have is the Sailor Moon palette. I told y'all, like, these were the two. I felt like the color story was just so ridiculously terrible that it wouldn't work for my skin tone, like, in any way. It was literally, like, one row in this palette that would work for my skin tone, if you all remember what the palette looks like. So I changed it to look like this. I like this color story a whole lot better. I mainly took a lot of the, what is it, palette, Inner Trance out of here. So, like, this is from, Inner Trance. Let's see, this is from Inner Trance. This is from Inner Trance. I'm trying to remember where this one's from. I feel like, sorry, this one is from this palette. It was over here because I took this Inner Trance color and put it there. And if I remember correctly, I believe this is from Inner Trance as well. So I just grabbed basically damn near all of the Inner Trance purples and blues and shifty type shades and put them in here. And then I just left these 3 for like if I wanted to do an orangish type shade. Then I had like this pink to go with this purple, or this pink to go with this pink shimmer right here. And then I added a lot of purples because I felt like they just went better in this palette and would help my skin tone out a lot better than the other one. And then the Inner Trance palette had a whole bunch of sequin shades in it, so I wasn't necessarily feeling those. So that's why I did this palette the way I did it. I actually think it looks a lot better. Now, I don't know if I necessarily like the way I placed the shimmers, and I feel like it's kind of shimmer heavy, but at the same time, I got rid of a lot of those sequin shades. So I only have one sequin shade, and I mainly just have a lot of purples and a little bit of a little neutral section here if I want to do neutral like this, with these right here would be like my little neutral thing. Because otherwise, I don't really have too much neutral in here, which is fine because I feel like worst come to worst, you can put the bronze in the crease and then dust this over it and then use these shimmers right here. So, I mean, I feel like it's way better than it used to be as far as for my skin tone, because if y'all remember, like, it was a light one right here. And if I remember correctly, it was a light one right here. And then, no, sorry, it was a light one right here, a light one right here. And then it was a light sequin shade right here. So, like, damn near this entire row was light. And I think this is the only original thing that's left from this row. This one and wait, no, I think I added this one. But yeah, so I feel like I did a whole lot better with this palette than they did as far as for people with my skin tone. Because I feel like when they made this palette, it was like for Sailor Moon fans. But for the Sailor Moon fans, they were like same color Sailor Moon. And it's like, just because I'm not the same color Sailor Moon doesn't mean I'm not a Sailor Moon fan. And like, that palette just was not working for me the way it was. So I no longer have Inner Trance because Inner Trance has been mixed with the Sailor Moon palette. So there you go. Okay, so next I have the Orion Out palette. Now, if y'all remember, this one was quite light and kind of ashy. So I changed it to where I took the shades from the top out and just added like these three. So this is from the Mara palette. Sorry, all three of these are from the Mara palette. Actually, I just took 3 shades out of the Mara palette and put them in the top here. And I'm not necessarily as excited about this color story as I was the other one. I still want to find a yellow that I feel like would go better here because this is a sequin shade when it comes to yellow, and I don't like that. Maybe I can find like a nice yellowy shimmer shade to put here eventually. But overall, I still like the uniqueness of this palette a little bit more than the other one. I think I'd prefer to have like a yellow matte, so that way you could be like this dark brown, a nice yellow matte in the crease. Why else I could use this as a nice yellow matte in the crease and then put the yellow gold shimmery shade like I was talking about. So I feel like this goes nice though because I can use these as a row, use this as a row, and then when I get the gold shimmer I want to have, then I can use this as a row. Now I know it's not ideal, consider this supposed to be a tie-dye palette, but you know, like I feel like this color story would just work a little bit better for my skin tone as opposed to what they had. Aside from the fact they had a disgusting glitter in here, and y'all know any palette with a glitter, that shit gotta go. So it had to leave out of my palette just because it had glitter in it. But yeah, I like this color story a whole lot better. And I can't wait to try to use some of these palettes because I'm actually kind of feeling the color stories that I put together. So I'm over here feeling myself a little bit, patting myself on the back a little bit like, okay, sis, you see me? You see me making these palettes? Yes, you see it. So, but yeah, I really like this color story a whole lot better than the one it originally came out with. And yes, you notice all the shadows have nicks in them stuff because I don't have a tool here at my grandmother's house to like take the stuff out. So I had to be ghetto and take like a butter knife and go into it. So sometime it went into the shadow. And that's why you see these random nicks in the shadows because I had to take a butter knife to get them off the magnetic thing in order to get them to work. But that's what Orion Out looks like now. Okay, so next one we have is this, well, it's Cloud Spun. And I recently did a video on this. Y'all, I saw how horrible it looked. I was like, oh my God. The funny thing is, like, the blue one didn't turn out like that. Like, the blue one, the video on that was perfectly clear, but the one on the pink one for some reason showed up terribly. Anyway, this is what I changed it to. So honestly, with this one, I didn't really have too many issues with it. I mean, I like the color story of Ooh La La better. But with this one, all I did was took the pressed glitter out because it was annoying the hell out of me. So this is from the Orion Out palette as well. I took the pink out of there. Even though it's a sequin pink, I still feel like it would look better than the pressed glitter. So I just didn't want the ugly ass pressed glitter in there. So I settled for this shade right here. I think it gives it like a little uniqueness to the palette because it's not truly monochromatic anymore because it has like a purplish, like pink type vibe to it. And I feel like that'll be nice with the shifting shade right here, or either with just this Super Shock. So I figured you could put this on the outer V in the crease and then just put the Super Shock on here, or go across with this nice little look here. And put the Super Shock in the inner corner, put this all over your lid, and then put this on the outer V and in your crease. So I thought it'd be a nice little touch and change to the palette, and I like the way it looks now just because that ugly ass pressed glitter is gone. So there you go. Okay, so next we have the Garden Variety palette. Now, I didn't do a whole lot to this as much as I wanted to do to it because I was running out of shades with all the other palettes I had done. But this is what it looks like now as opposed to what it looked like before. So I put a bronzy shimmer down here instead of that dark, what was it, sequin shade they had down here. I took that out and put this bronzy shade in from the Mara palette. And then I took this shade up here out and changed it with the shade in the Mara palette as well. I want to change out these two shades right here, but I, again, haven't found a palette in my Colourpop collection that I don't like well enough to where I can take some shades out of it and flip it. Because I got the Meant to Be palette, but I got a feeling I'm going to use that for the Orion Out, like I told you all earlier. So I got to figure out what shades I'm going to use to replace these two, because I do not like these two and I want them to go. It's just a question of like what shades I can find to fill them in with. So until then, it'll stay like this. But this shade, and this shade were taken from the Mara palette, and I like the way the palette looks a whole lot better now. I mean, I know they wanted more gardeny-esque type shades, and I'd prefer to put something else other than this one. But again, I was running low on shades, and I was tired of seeing all the damn sequin shades in here. So I was like, we're going to have to do with some more bronzy tones for now until I get a palette that has more colorful shades in from Colourpop that I don't necessarily like. Although I could maybe dip into the Grandeur palette and just get a lighter matte that'll work better with my skin tone in addition to this one. And I don't know, again, what I'm going to do about this shade unless I take one of those satiny shades and put it in here. But since those are more dark, gardeny tones, I felt like that wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. So that's why I just settled for what this is right now. And then later on, I will get rid of this and this eventually, because that's the plan. I just want those two shades to be gone and put something else in them. Maybe I can find a brighter matte or a brighter shimmer over time. I'm mad that their singles don't fit in here, because if their singles would fit in here, it would be a whole lot easier to figure out, you know, what I could put in here, because I could just switch it out with singles that I have from their collection already that I don't have. But these are just a tad bit smaller than the singles, and I figure they do that on purpose so that way you just won't buy the singles and switch them out for stuff in the palette you don't like. But I mean, like, I think it'd be so cool if they did make them the same size as that, so then that way you could switch them out and make kind of like your own palette thing without having to like create your own palette or build your own palette with them. You could have palettes that you already have from them, like you just want to tweak a little bit, and you could do it that way. So I think that's something they should consider in the future, to make them a little bit smaller so that you can fit them in the palettes and then switch out what you want according to the way you want it, since you know you're the one who has to use it. But anyway, this is what mine looks like now, and I'm hoping to add some other shades to get rid of the ones I don't like and eventually make it totally be a palette that I want. So the last palette we have is the Misunderstood palette, and this one is dead last because I literally only changed one shade in here, just like the Cloud Spun palette. But the only thing with this one is it's so shimmer heavy, and I was trying to figure out what mattes would go good with the shimmers in here. So I just took out the white matte and then put this like blue shimmery shade from the Mara palette in here. I want to take this shade out, but I don't know what I would change it up with. I think I'd want more like a taupey gray type shade in here to go with some of the cooler toned shimmers. Since we already have this warmer one, I just want a cooler one that's closer to my skin tone, because I do feel like this is somewhat cool and neutral, if you will, but it doesn't go well with my skin tone. And I'd want more like a grayish taupey type shade that'll go good with my skin tone, to go with like all the mattes that are in here. So that way you could use this with all the warm shimmers. I can use the navy and the black to like deepen up the outer V, and then I could have like a cool ashy toned brown or something to go with all the cooler tone shades in here. But I like the fact that the white is gone now, because I felt like it was just an eyesore that wasn't really going to serve any purpose in my collection. So I like this blue. Plus I feel like now I can do like the black to darken out the outer V, to put this blue in the crease, and then put like this light blue in there, and then maybe top it with this one if I want some like dual chromey dimension type, or just use this green in the inner corner or this light shade. So I feel like I have a little bit more idea of how I would use this palette, just because I took out that one white shade, and I feel like it just brought all the shimmers together and gave me better ideas to use these darker outer V shades with. So I'm happy with the way I changed this palette. Again, I have one more shade I want to change out, and I might change out some of these shimmers eventually, but I'm content right now just with the fact that I got rid of the white shade, because I always feel like shades like that are pointless in palettes to me, and I'm not a person who's gonna like, you know, do the whole cut crease situation and the halo and then put the white all over the lid. So the white doesn't serve any purpose in this palette for me. So that's why I took it out. But this is the last palette I have to show you all. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.